Having a daily technique routine is so important for me, and I find it so helpful for students and anybody I've worked with. And I am a big fan of the exercises that David Hayes presents in his daily exercises for double bass. This is available in our sheet music store, and let's dig into this awesome book. These exercises are so cool because to me, they're just enough to really get the nervous system going and the fingers moving. And it's kind of like the musical equivalent of brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth. So we start off with chromatic positions here. So David lays these out nice and logically on the bass. We're starting on the open D, and for whatever reason, I like starting on the open D too. And we're playing. Moving up half steps. And then when I hit something that's an open string, I just make sure that string is resonating sympathetically. And I'm feeling the half steps just decrease in size a bit as I go up the bass, just sort of focusing on that. Directing my awareness to that. Also making sure that that open string is sympathetically vibrating. Now when I hit that A, I want to make sure that my open A is sympathetically vibrating. And that G's not going to ring so much, but I might just double check in and make sure that that C is nice and in tune. And now here, we have the choice of doing fourth or third finger, depending. For this, if you're on electric bass, it would be the 11th fret. I'll stick with fourth today, but I do either one, depending. And I love working up to the octave just like this. And then there are a whole bunch of bowing and rhythmic variations here that you can go through. So just slurs. To different rhythms and ricochet and all that kind of thing. And I like to just take one of these, whether it's separate bows like is outlined here, or any of these slurs and dots, and do just one of them for the day. I don't let the tempo exceed what I can do and process. And I love exercises like this that take a relatively simple pattern, but useful pattern, and have you look at it at a slightly different angle every single day. Super great for getting you dialed in on the bass. And you can transfer this to other open strings. So I'll do this on the G string, I'll do this on the A string, I'll even do this on the E string. I'm feeling like building those bass muscles. Next we have this one octave scale study, and I am a big fan of practicing just one octave scales. I think it's something that's actually kind of underrated. When I'm subbing with the San Francisco Symphony, I go through every day and just slowly play through all 12 keys, one octave major scales, making sure the bass is nice and ringing, and that really gets me dialed in and ready to go. And that's kind of what David's doing here. He's taking a one octave scale study, but he's going up diatonically, so the notes you play will stay the same, but the intervals are going to change under your fingers. Just a great way to get your brain working. So he lays down an A major, but you can transfer this over to any key. Now you're on the second. And there's a lot of great pedagogy just in this scale study by paying attention to what string David is having you do what notes on and how he's grouping them together. There are a lot of fingering rules that he is following here, and I've done a whole video on the quote-unquote rules of double bass fingering and when to break them. I will link up to that. But as with the first one, he gives you a set of variations that you can do over this. So we have different slurs. Or this one. Or slurs and separate. Super duper useful. And I am a big fan of taking one key a week and jamming on that. So I will do these in that key. And I talked to Lauren Pierce about that same concept, about her wonderful book, Scales, Scales, Scales. I will link up to that video here as well if you want to hear her thoughts on that concept. But just in general, I think taking one key and living with it for a week is a good idea. And that's what I do with David's wonderful exercises. This third exercise is a concept that I have tried to express to students a lot over the years, and I really like just the title that David has for this, hammer fingers. I'm a big fan of feeling the act of really your fingers coming and kind of snapping down the string, but not in a tense way, it just kind of landing and then relaxing. And so this exercise really promotes that. So I am trying to hear what I like to call finger percussion in this. So I go. And like for 4, I am predominantly feeling the energy coming in through 4 and 3. 2 and 1 are coming down, but if I could somehow map out the energy of my hand, that would be a cool thing for a future video if I can figure that out. It's really centered on the finger that is hammering. So we just go up and down the bass just like David's got it. And various tempos, and I don't try to exceed the tempo of what I'm comfortable doing, and I usually start slow every day. And then he turns it around. It just takes it to the D, no big deal, very, very cool. And then as with the other exercises, some variations down here, starting with the open. And then different sequence that he's got here, just hammering the 1. And so many other variations you can do. You can do something similar with 2. You just have to skip the A flat, but you get the idea. And doing it on the D string, A string, E string. You can do slurs. Just finding a way to take this exercise and just give it a little bit of twist every day, I find super cool. Next up is 4-note finger patterns. Jeff Braditich, who I had the pleasure of studying with while I was in high school for a few summers, he was a big fan of these exercises. He gets into these in his great book, Double Bass, The Ultimate Challenge. I will link up to that. So these exercises are going up by half steps. And you really need to feel the half steps getting slightly closer together. Intonation can be a challenge on these, so really keeping the tempo under control. This is just a wonderful, wonderful way to get everything going and getting some shifting going. And just like the others, there are some bowing variations. And then of course you can take it to the other strings and just the sky's the limit in terms of the variations you can do on this. And Diatonic Shifts, Gary Carr is famous for doing this kind of work, and Jeff Braditich, who I mentioned before, these are foundational to his technique approach too, and just wonderful exercises. Gary Carr mentions that these are actually more right-hand exercises than left-hand exercises, which seems weird, but is actually true because you need to adjust your bow as you go. And I've never really done a video on that. If you want to hear more about that, happy to do one, just leave a comment below. We're going to go all the way up to the B-flat octave. And then turn it around, and then variations, so doing 1 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 4, all the finger combinations, and then just going this way. This is great. David says, play with and without vibrato. Yes, absolutely. And these shifting drills like this, these diatonic shifts, are fantastic. And violinists and violists and cellists practice these as well. And we bassists benefit so much from them. Then we have scale patterns. These are tetrachords going up in one key. And so we are in A major, which is a great key for learning this and just taking, repeating. the way up. And I believe I remember Lauren Pierce doing a video a while back about how this was her favorite exercise or one of her favorite exercises. Certainly is one of my favorite exercises and something that I've gotten a lot out of over the years. And then just as with the others, we've got many bowing and rhythmic variations, and you can create your own. I do this exercise on the scale for the day, so I might not start in first position depending on the key. I might do it on the D string. If I want a challenge, I might go over to the A string or the E string. It kind of depends on what my focus is for that week or how much I want to challenge myself. Then we have fifths. This is great for hand strength and just developing intonation. And then David also has you play them as double stops after you do them broken. And I know that Gary Carr practices double stops a lot, especially in the early parts of his practicing, and many string players, not just bass players, talk about doing that. If you can develop 2 notes in tune, playing 1 note is a lot easier, and it's also great just for tone in general. Double stops are awesome, and these fifths are a great way to do it. And of course, bowing variations, all kinds of variations, and inventing your own is also great. Some sort of string crossing practice every day is great for developing the ability to move around the bass with ease. And string crossings end up a lot of the time being the thing that ties a lot of people up, especially as they start to get a little more advanced on the bass. So this kind of thing is great just for keeping the blade sharp in terms of this. I'm feeling my weight transfer across all the strings. So you're noticing a theme. We've just got this sequential chromatic or diatonic going up and down. Practicing them in the lower 3 strings is great too, so just transfer the pattern down 1 string. And a bunch of bowing variations that are all very helpful. This is a great one for just really getting you focused on how the weight transfers to different strings and just getting comfortable moving that across the bass. Neck block positions, this is great for developing this area that my friend Chris Koski calls the thumb transition zone. She put an entire book about it out. We'll link up to that if you want to really dig into this position, but this is just kind of a great primer on that. And then D string. And now David turns the pattern around. And then he's got some shifting drills up here. Very cool, and more variations, and just great for getting comfortable in this. It's kind of an awkward part of a bass, the neck block. We did fifths earlier, now we got thirds, so some more double stop practice. If you want to really make those double stops sing, Molly Sharp's book on the topic is great. And again, a great way to deep dive on that, but this is a great just kind of introduction, daily briefing on thirds and intonation, and there's a lot more nuance in tuning thirds than there is in fifths, so just getting your ear set on those, it's a great thing to touch on every day. Bowing variations, and then going ascending in the thirds, this is super useful too. Running thirds is super cool. You're just going up the string. Kind of like a patting your head, rubbing your stomach kind of exercise, and all kinds of variations as well. Then finally, thumb position. Oh my goodness, I love these. And this reminds me a lot of Petrocchi's Simplified Higher Technique, which I did a video on and we'll link up to as well. And just great for getting the thumb position going up to this D right here and even beyond, and then some bowing variations and other hand shapes to practice. And with these 12 exercises, I feel like I am ready to tackle just about anything on the bass. And if you want to tackle some more on the bass, check out the video we've got linked up here.